Well, I'm here today with James Lovelock, who's a very famous author and scientist. We're going to talk a bit about James's latest book, The Vanishing Face of Gaia. James, I've read the book, and you've put on the table a very different political proposition to the one we hear today, about the use of nuclear, about adaptation to a world that's going to change very rapidly. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. Nuclear is kind of startling in some ways because you don't associate it with Greens, and I'm very much a Green of the old-fashioned sort. But my take on nuclear is that it's an excellent, cheap, safe and reliable source of electricity. Yeah. And you can't run a big modern city without lots of electricity that is constant and reliable. And since 95% of us, I think, in Europe or live in cities are urbanised, you really need this steady source of electricity. And to my mind, there's no better way of producing it than using nuclear. It's carbon-free, and as I mentioned, it's economic and sensible. It isn't a worldwide solution, not a panacea to our problems of climate change, but for densely populated areas like Germany or Britain and other European countries, I think it's essential.
And then the other side of your proposition was really about adaptation, because you're concerned that the changes coming are much greater than the political establishment today recognises.
Yes, I've been working for more than 40 years on the theory of the Earth, which sees it as a self-regulating entity that sustains a habitable environment and has done for the past 3.5 billion years. That's about a quarter of the age of the universe. Quite a powerful system. That's pretty well mainstream science now. It's no longer an heretical notion as it was in the beginning. Now, if you look at it that way, the Earth in its present state appears to be on the course of a jump to one of its classic stable states. The geologists refer to them as the greenhouses, a hot state, about 5 degrees hotter than it was a little while ago, and the ice houses, which are typically the ice ages. And once it starts to move between one state to another, the non-linear system keeps it moving to that hot state, and quite rapidly, and very little that we do can change that state of affairs. So that if I'm right, it means that most of the green efforts and attempts at mitigation are probably misplaced. That doesn't mean to say you shouldn't do them, because I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But don't expect too much of them.
So adaptation becomes a very big challenge for us.
Yes, the other side of it is that as we move towards the hot state, the northern parts of the world, islands, will be refuges for people to go to, where the environment will be capable of supporting large numbers of people. And so we've got to prepare for those sorts of moves and for conditions on those places that will sustain the vast numbers of people.
So how do we get these messages across to the people that are now looking to gather in Copenhagen at the end of the year to supposedly put together a global deal to address climate change? Because it seems your vision is quite different to the one that they're really addressing.
Sadly, I'm well aware that they know my views on this thing, and many of them agree with me.
Yeah.
But it is so contrary to the business-as-usual paradigm that we will move in that nobody can really think of a way of escaping.
Well, I recommend that you read the book. It's a fascinating read, and I'd like to thank you, James, very much for chatting with me today. Thank you very much.